You think betrayal is the deepest cut. It's not. The real torment is lying next to a woman whose body has already been shared, touching skin that carries the memory of another man, and being blind to it. Most men brush off the changes, telling themselves she's just tired, distracted, or going through a phase. But women don't confess with words. They confess with behavior. And every time you ignore the signals, you hand her the power to make you the silent victim of your own downfall. That's why today I'm going to expose the 8 signs that reveal when she's just given herself to someone else. Number 1, sudden emotional distance. Emotional energy never lies. A woman can fake words. She can rehearse excuses. She can dress her guilt in perfect smiles. But what she cannot hide is the shift in her emotional presence. When a woman has just slept with someone else, there's a sudden gap between what she used to give and what she offers now. That warm glow, the eagerness to connect, the natural flow of affection, it doesn't come as effortlessly anymore. She becomes colder, not in a dramatic way at first, but in small, noticeable shifts. The conversations feel shorter, her tone sharper, and the comfort you once felt around her starts to fade. This distance is not always obvious in grand gestures. It's often revealed in subtle absences. A delayed response where there used to be instant replies, a lack of eye contact when you speak, a withdrawal of the little touches, hugs, and affectionate gestures that used to come naturally. She begins creating space, both physically and emotionally, because her energy has been redirected. She's already given away a piece of her intimacy, and what's left feels forced when she tries to offer it back. Psychologically, women struggle with balancing emotional loyalty. Once physical loyalty has been broken, they can compartmentalize for a while, but not perfectly. The guilt mixes with a subconscious need to detach, and so distance becomes her survival tactic. This is why so many men misread the situation, thinking she's just stressed or tired, when in reality, it's the aftermath of crossing a line. That distance is not random. It's the residue of a choice she made. Number 2. Unnatural guilt. Camouflage. Guilt doesn't always show up as silence. In fact, some women become louder, brighter, and strangely more affectionate after doing something they know crosses a line. This isn't real love or sudden passion. It's a psychological trick to mask the weight of guilt. When a woman has just slept with someone else, she may lean into exaggerated sweetness, almost as if she's trying to convince both herself and the man in her life that nothing has changed. She laughs too hard at jokes that aren't funny. She becomes overly generous with compliments, or she initiates affection in ways that feel a little off. On the surface, it looks like extra love, but in reality, it's camouflage. This overcompensation is her subconscious attempt to erase suspicion. The guilt burns inside, and instead of retreating, some women flip the switch and try to flood the relationship with an unusual surge of attention. But this attention feels different. It's not consistent, not grounded. It's hurried, excessive, and strangely artificial. You'll notice it in the timing. Suddenly she's clingy when she was independent before, overly attentive when she used to be calm, or showering compliments at random moments when it feels undeserved. The pattern is unnatural. And if you pay attention, you'll sense it. Psychology explains this as a defense mechanism. The mind seeks balance when it feels the weight of betrayal, so she tries to balance her guilt with exaggerated affection. It's almost like an actor overplaying a role, trying to sell a story so strongly that the performance itself reveals the truth. The more she leans into this camouflage, the more obvious it becomes, because genuine affection flows with ease, while guilt-driven affection feels rushed and misplaced. Number 3. Changes in her scent and body language. The body never lies. Words can be crafted, stories can be built, but physiology betrays the truth every time. A woman who has just been with someone else carries subtle physical shifts that most men overlook because they aren't trained to notice them. Her natural scent, the warmth of her skin, even the rhythm of how she breathes. It changes. Every intimate encounter leaves a trace, not just emotionally, but biologically. A trained eye and a sharp intuition can pick up on those differences, even if she tries to cover them with perfume, showering, or an exaggerated display of normalcy. The scent is the most primal giveaway. Human beings are wired to recognize changes in pheromones, even if only subconsciously. When she returns from intimacy elsewhere, her body chemistry is not the same. You might not be able to describe it, but you feel it. The subtle shift in how she smells when you're close to her, a scent that no artificial fragrance can fully mask. Along with that, her body language often tells the rest of the story. She may act more guarded physically, pulling back from touch, or, strangely enough, she may overcompensate with forced intimacy that feels out of sync with her usual rhythm. There's also a change in posture and presence. A woman who has just given herself away often carries a different tension in her body, a different energy in how she moves. It could be a subtle stiffness, or it could be an unusual looseness that wasn't there before. The The body is always speaking, and when you learn to pay attention to these microsignals, the shifts in scent, in touch, in movement, you'll see that the body reveals truths the mouth will never confess. Number 4. Avoidance of eye contact. During vulnerable moments, the eyes carry truth in a way no words can disguise. A woman can rehearse her tone, craft her excuses, and carefully manage her behavior, but when her gaze falters in the moments that matter most, it exposes what she doesn't want revealed. After giving herself to someone else, a shift often appears in how she manages eye contact. It's not simply that she looks away randomly, it's that she struggles to hold your eyes when the situation carries intimacy or vulnerability. The soul knows it has crossed a line, and the weight of that choice makes direct connection uncomfortable. In normal circumstances, eye contact is fluid. It carries warmth, playfulness, or even natural conflict when emotions rise. But when betrayal lingers beneath the surface, eye contact becomes fragmented. You'll notice it when you lean in close, when you ask something simple but meaningful, or when the atmosphere turns quiet and vulnerable. Instead of meeting your gaze with the same steadiness as before, her eyes shift quickly, darting away, or they glaze over as if she's elsewhere in thought. These are subconscious escapes, tiny cracks in her ability to stay present. Psychologically, this comes from cognitive dissonance, the discomfort of living one reality while pretending another. When the eyes meet, truth collides with guilt, and that friction creates avoidance. She may disguise it as shyness, distraction, or even irritation, but the deeper reason is often that the eyes mirror what words cannot hide. A woman who has nothing to conceal meets your gaze with ease. A woman carrying a secret avoids it when the moment feels too close. It's not about every glance, but about those specific, vulnerable moments where authenticity should flow naturally. When the eyes can't stay locked in those moments, it's often because they're reflecting the truth of a double life she's unwilling to admit. Number 5. Irritation without cause. Irritation is one of the clearest leaks of a guilty conscience. When a woman has just been with someone else, the internal conflict doesn't always show up as distance or silence. It often erupts as sudden mood shifts, sharp tones, and hostility that seems completely out of place. Little things that never used to bother her now trigger exaggerated reactions. Simple questions sound like accusations to her guilty mind, and harmless interactions feel like threats. This is because her emotional balance has been disrupted. She's juggling two realities, and the easiest way to deflect suspicion is by turning small issues into conflict. Psychology explains this as projection. Instead of dealing with her own choices, she projects the discomfort outward, making it appear as if the environment is the problem. That's why her irritability feels misplaced. You'll notice it in the way she nitpicks over details that never mattered, the way her tone sharpens without reason, or how she escalates conversations into arguments over the smallest triggers. This irritation is not about what's in front of her, it's about what's inside her. The weight of betrayal needs a release, and it often comes out as hostility toward the very person she's deceiving. Another layer to this behavior is self-preservation. By creating distance through irritation, she subconsciously reduces the risk of closeness where her guilt might get exposed. Anger becomes a shield, keeping questions at bay and pushing emotional intimacy out of reach. The pattern becomes clearer over time. Moments that should feel calm turn tense. Interactions that used to be lighthearted now feel heavy, and her energy shifts from affectionate to defensive in an instant. That irritation without cause is not random. It's a psychological smokescreen designed to distract from what's really happening beneath the surface. Number 6. Protective behavior over her phone. The phone is the modern diary, but unlike the old days when secrets were scribbled on paper and hidden in drawers, today's secrets glow behind a locked screen. When a woman has just been with someone else, the phone becomes more than a tool. It becomes a vault of evidence she cannot risk exposing. This is why her behavior around it changes. Where she once left it casually on the table, face up without a second thought, she now guards it like a treasure chest. You'll notice the subtle moves, turning it face down, keeping it within arm's reach at all times, carrying it from room to room even when it isn't necessary. These aren't random habits. They are psychological shields meant to control what you might see. The defensiveness grows sharper when the phone is touched or even glanced at. A simple reach for it, or even asking a casual question about it, can spark tension out of nowhere. The reason is clear. Inside that device are the conversations, the calls, the subtle digital trails that connect her to what she doesn't want revealed. Psychology calls this hypervigilance. When guilt is present, the mind creates exaggerated alertness, preparing to protect the source of exposure at all costs. That's why the phone suddenly feels like it carries more weight than it should. Even the way she uses it shifts. Quick exits from apps when someone walks into the room, strange silences followed by hurried typing, or an unusual increase in notifications that she tries to hide. All these behaviors signal a guarded state of mind. It's not the phone itself that matters, but the way she treats it. A woman with nothing to conceal is relaxed about her device. A woman who has crossed a line clings to it, shields it, and behaves as if it holds the very proof of her choices. Number 7. Shift in intimacy energy. Intimacy is one of the most powerful mirrors of truth. A woman may try to act the same, speak the same, and carry herself as if nothing has changed. But when it comes to physical closeness, the energy never lies. A woman who has just slept with someone else often reveals herself through subtle but undeniable changes in how she expresses desire. The rhythm is off, the frequency shifts, and the energy behind her touch carries a different weight. She might pull away when she once leaned in, or she might suddenly become more aggressive, experimental, or strangely adventurous. Either extreme signals that something deeper has shifted. The avoidance pattern is common. She resists closeness, claiming stress, tiredness, or distraction. Her kisses feel less alive, her body less responsive, and her overall presence less engaged. This is not simply about mood swings or natural fluctuations in desire. It is the residue of giving herself away elsewhere. She has poured intimacy into another experience, and that emotional and physical exchange alters how she approaches the connection she once shared with you. The avoidance creates a noticeable void, a silence in moments that once carried spark. On the other side of the spectrum, there is the overcompensation pattern. She suddenly brings in new techniques, boldness, or energy that feels unfamiliar. While some may misinterpret this as growth or exploration, often it is borrowed energy from a recent encounter. The body remembers, the mind recalls, and she unconsciously transfers that into the present moment. What feels like novelty is sometimes a reflection of someone else's influence. This is why the sudden spike in intensity can feel unnatural. It doesn't align with her established rhythm. Intimacy carries a frequency that cannot be faked for long. When the connection shifts drastically, whether through withdrawal or through a sudden surge of unfamiliar passion, it is a psychological flag that something is different. Her energy betrays her. What she tries to balance with excuses, her body exposes through every touch, every pause, and every number 8, micro-expressions of detachment. The truth always leaks through the smallest cracks. A woman who has just slept with someone else may believe she is in full control of her words, her behavior, and the mask she wears, but the body betrays her in ways she doesn't even realize. Micro-expressions, the quick flashes of emotion across her face, the half-second shifts in tone, the delayed responses, these are the unconscious signals that reveal what she's trying to hide. Detachment doesn't come all at once. It arrives in subtle doses, and it shows up in the details most people overlook. A forced smile is one of the first giveaways. Instead of a natural warmth that reaches the eyes, the smile appears staged, quick, or delayed. It lacks the spark it once had because her emotions are elsewhere. You'll notice it in the moments that should be genuine, when you say something personal, when you share something vulnerable, or when the atmosphere calls for closeness. Her smile appears, but it doesn't carry the weight of connection. It's surface level, a cover meant to deflect suspicion. The same happens with her responses. They may be delayed, as if she's calculating instead of naturally reacting. She may laugh at the wrong time, answer with a tone that feels mismatched, or seem distracted in the middle of conversations. These are signs that her mind is split, that part of her focus lingers on the memory of someone else. Even when she wants to stay fully present, her subconscious pulls her away, and that detachment becomes visible in fleeting expressions and mismatched emotions. Micro-expressions also appear in moments of silence. Watch her eyes when the room grows quiet. A woman at peace holds steady. A woman carrying a secret shifts, blinks rapidly, or lets her gaze drift away as if she's somewhere else entirely. These subtle actions are not accidents. They are the subconscious revealing what the conscious mind works so hard to bury. Detachment doesn't need grand gestures to announce itself. It hides in the millisecond expressions, the distracted glances, the shallow laughs. And once you train yourself to notice these small fractures in presence, the truth becomes impossible to ignore.